Hi, I'm Nelly Knitter, and today I'm going to teach you a method for joining in the round. Now, as much as I would like to say that I invented this method of joining in the round, I didn't. I can't remember where I found it, but I read it in one of the patterns that I was making, and now I use this join method all the time. So to start off with, what I've done is I have cast on the stitches for my project. So for this project, I was supposed to cast on 64 stitches. So I take 64 stitches I've cast on and I add an extra one. So now I'm up to 65 stitches. The reason for doing this will become very apparent shortly. So the next thing I do is I line up and I try and put the line, this ridge, on the inside of my triangle that I'm going to make with my 3 double pointed needles. So I make sure that I have that solid line all the way around and my stitches are not twisted. Now the reason for my extra stitch is going to become apparent right now. So what I'm going to do is this last stitch that I've cast on is really loose. And this first stitch that I cast on is kind of tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide that last stitch back so that it's beside that first stitch. Okay, so now that I have my 2 stitches, my orange stitch and my yellow stitch right together, I'm going to knit through both of these stitches and that will create my join. Now if the first stitch in my pattern were a purl, I would purl those 2 stitches together. The first stitch that you cast on tends to be really tight, and the last stitch that you cast on turns out to be really loose. So you kind of have a tendency of dropping that last stitch while you're trying to get it through your needle. So now I have my needle through both the first stitch and last stitch that I cast on. And now all I'm going to do is I'm simply going to knit through both those stitches and cast it off. And that counts as the first stitch in my pattern. So if my pattern were a knit 4, purl 4, I would continue on and knit 2 more, 3 more. So now I have 4 stitches on that needle, and then I start my purl 4. Now I keep going around in this manner until I reach my starting needle. Now if I were to do that, these stitches here between here and here is quite loose, and between where I knit those 2 together and my first stitch will be pretty loose. So you kind of have to use your long tail cast on and pull that tight for the first time that you work those stitches in order to make sure that they're snug. You'll notice this is another sock that I'm working on, and it doesn't look so pretty, and the reason that it doesn't look so pretty is because it's inside out. So when I join in this method, my projects always are inside out. I kind of like it because then I don't see how it's going to look until I finish the project, and then I turn it inside out. Alternatively, you can just turn it inside out when you're in the middle of your project. So I'll do that now so I can show you that you can do it. And there you go. Now you can see everything that is going on in the pattern. If you were to turn it inside out and then reverse it in the middle of your work, it's not going to matter. It's not going to change how your stitches look. You just keep on working as you would if it were inside out or right side out. And that is my trick that I wanted to teach you today for how to join in the round.